Cue music. We're all about class when it comes to pens, and we like to let it show. Welcome to Fountain Pen Radio, presented by FPGeeks.com. And now for your fountain pen enthusiast hosts, here's Eric and Dan. Gentlemen.
This is Fountain Pen Geeks Podcast, episode number 31. For Tuesday, July 3rd, 2012, we are recording live on Sunday, July 1st. To our friends and neighbors of the Great White North, happy Canada Day. I will also say congratulations to Spain for having won today's final in Euro Cup. Welcome to Fountain Pen Radio. My name is Eric.
And I'm Dan.
Dan, how are you today?
I'm good. I have a question about this Euro Cup. Is that like a drinking competition?
It is a humongous drinking competition. I would imagine that everyone in Spain is still up and still drinking.
Ah, good to know.
We should be there, actually. We should be on the streets, the mad streets of Madrid right now.
Well, is there a pen show going on? Because if there's not, I'll pass.
We could probably find one. A pen show, you just bring your pen case. We'll have a pen show.
I suppose you're right about that.
Especially his pen case.
Mr. Gray, how are you?
Sorry, did I just jump in on your conversation there?
I'm glad you did, because I was trying to figure out how I was going to bring you in. I'm doing fine. You have a different background today. What's the deal here? Have you moved?
We had a bit of a crisis in Ohio around, 10 after 7. We went out to dinner, had a great dinner, came back, and on the way, this monster storm came through. And we're thinking, oh, great, because the power's probably out. We've got this big broadcast tonight. And sure enough, right around 7:10, the power went out. So I'm sitting there going, okay, I'll call Eric on the cell phone. And, if worst case, we'll call him the cell phone, whatever. Power is still out, but we had the good sense to head over to my in-laws. So I am now in my father-in-law's beautiful study. And I'm casting from Lawrence Street in Huron rather than Ridgeview Circle in Milan. So
I see basketballs.
He is a big sports fan, correct. Those are all autographed, beautiful. There's an autographed baseball up there. He's got a lot of beautiful sports memorabilia.
So we've brought up sports twice already, and it's only, 3 minutes into the program?
What kind of geeks bring up sports?
I don't know.
Is this all right?
Are we allowed to? Oh, I guess we can.
I think so.
Yeah, we're not nerds, people. Come on now.
That's right. We're geeks. We're not nerds. Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Since
we started this show and we have a new feature at our website, why don't we start with that? It's Disqus.
Yeah. I installed the Disqus comments earlier this week, and in that post, I mentioned something about possibly using it as an alternative to the Ustream chat. While I don't think that's actually going to be possible, I think it will work pretty well in conjunction to the Ustream chat. I like the Ustream chat because people can just chit-chat. They can talk about whatever they want, off-topic conversations. I would also like to use the Disqus comments in that post. If we ask a question to everyone watching, they can answer there. Or if we say something wrong, they can correct us. We want things left in the comments that are going to be permanent and helpful to people in the future. So we don't want to get rid of the chit chat, but we also want to keep some of those important points that do pop up in the chat.
All right. If I'm on the page with the chat going on and the Disqus comments, do the comments update themselves as people make new comments?
They do. It will auto refresh, and you'll see a yellow bar that says like one new comment or maybe 2 or 3 new comments. You click that, it'll refresh the comments, but not the entire page. So you can keep up with the conversation.
Very good, very good. So right now people have the choice of using the chat or Disqus, which is our new comment system at the website, or both at the same time.
Right.
The benefit to using Disqus is that whatever is said is archived forever and ever. Amen.
Exactly.
Okay. I understand. I am completely signed up for Disqus. I have posted a comment. I know it's working. So I'm ready to go. I don't know if Mr. Gray is ready to go, but he's probably not going to be participating in chat while we're doing this. Are you, Mr.?
I'm watching the Ustream chat, but I don't have the Disqus chat. I'm sorry, Disqus chat going on.
You're going to say I was saying Disqus all up until the time I watched the video. Dan, you posted a post at the website that has a Disqus video that kind of just gives you an overview of how the system works, and they say Disqus, so I learned how to pronounce it the way they want us to. So if there are no more questions about that, is anybody asking questions in the chat about it? Anybody having a problem getting in the chat or using Disqus? I don't want to leave anybody behind.
I think we're look pretty good to go.
All right. Well, I'm glad you could join us, Mr. Gray, because today's a big day.
I've been looking forward to this. That's one of the reasons that, like, literally, I threw my family into the car, and it's like, get over to the in-laws now! And I screamed over real fast, and you guys know I just now got on, like, literally 5 minutes ago, well, maybe 10 minutes ago. So I've been kind of frazzled trying to get on this broadcast because it is such a big deal.
It is.
So,
I wasn't going to give the pen away without you. So I'm glad you made it.
Can you imagine? I mean, you have, 300-plus entries, and I'm sorry, but there's no power in Ohio, so no pen tonight.
No pen tonight. We'll have to wait till next week. Everybody would have understood. I mean,
well,
really,
hopefully,
there
but
are
still,
400 plus entries, but we really only would have been disappointing one person. Really, But at any rate, I'm glad you made it because now we can talk about.
But don't forget, it's also a good excuse to visit family too. So
yes, although we need excuses to visit family.
I feel bad though because as soon as I ran in the house, I'm like, not being rude, just gotta go, and I just screamed off, and it's like, good to see you too. I was like, just very important radio show.
Very important. I'm the star. Yes. I'm the star. I got top billing
I'm the
today.
Star.
Anyway, we're talking about the Edison Pen Giveaway, and I'm sure both of you noticed that the infographic for the demographics of the entries was posted this morning at FPGeeks.com.
Dude, I've got to interrupt.
What a great job on that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. We need to do a giveaway every week so we can see one of these more often because
I'm not sure anybody understands how much time these infographics
That's what I was about to say. It must have taken
I can't imagine how long it took you to do this.
I'm very, very pleased that people like them because although they take a lot of time to do, they're fun because people are going to really enjoy all this information, and seeing it in an infographic is so much nicer than reading statistics.
Yeah.
So it takes time, but it's fun.
It's just flat out cool. That is like, neat.
Getting out your coloring book and coloring things in. I'm going to, for the benefit of those watching the video, I'm going to show the picture of the world map that shows where entries came from. We got entries for this Edison Pen Giveaway from 29 countries. Mr. Gray, you are worldly popular.
Well, thank you, sir.
In fact, if you have your show notes in front of you, Mr. Gray.
I printed them just to make sure.
Say hello to everyone who sent in an entry by reading off the names of the countries. It shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds.
All right. Well, the only continent not represented is Antarctica. So we've got Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Estonia, Germany, Greece, Hong Kong, Hungary, the Republic of Ireland, Japan, Latvia, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Philippines, Portugal, Puerto Rico, Serbia, Singapore, South Africa, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and United States.
Very good, sir. Wow. We're going to keep you around. Wow. You can read like that.
Wow.
I think it's superb that people from all over are writing. I have to tell you, here, I'll come back to showing our faces while I tell you this. 407 total entries. It is a tremendously humbling experience to read mail from 407 different people from all over the country who, for the most part, they're saying very, very complimentary things both about FP Geeks and Edison Pens. Almost everybody wrote Edison Rules, but they didn't stop there. They went on, and it's just an amazing experience, and I thank every single person who wrote in, because I open every single one, I read every single word, and, well, I'm not going to admit to crying, but it is a very humbling experience. It's very nice to know what people are thinking.
Well, I know that you promised that you would send some of those along for me to take a look at, and I really would appreciate that because honestly, sometimes, it's wonderful to have an largely internet-based business, but, when you're in your own little bubble and it's my shop and my laptop and, I do everything over the computer and email, and only at pen shows do I really get to interact with people. So sometimes when I get in this little bubble of mine, I don't really have a good, understanding or appreciation for, how people feel about the company. And getting all these entries in and hearing the comments that you've already passed along to me, it makes me feel great. So if anything, thank you to everybody for entering and the kind words that everybody said. It really is very humbling and very nice. Makes me feel good and kind of gets me out of my little bubble of just that little shop and just me and my wife and our employee doing our thing,
Well, anytime you want, we'll get you out of your bubble. Just say the word. I'm going to show another little portion here on our screen of the infographic. Although it was not requested, 31 of the entries included some sort of artwork. And some of this artwork was outstanding. My opinion, of course. But I mean, especially when you didn't request any sort of artwork, you just requested that it be something in writing and that it include Edison Rules, which brings me to my next point. Of the 407 entries, 23 of them did not include the phrase Edison Rules. Which is sad in and of itself, but there's some sort of correlation, because if you sent in a piece of artwork, it was much more likely that you would forget to write Edison Rules. I don't know why, except in the case of John the Monkey, because John the Monkey made Edison Rules into the artwork itself. There's some sort of correlation with the amount of effort you put into the entry and forgetting to write Edison Rules. The only other correlation I can see is that too many people forgot to write Edison Rules that were from Austin, Texas. Don't ask me why. I can't make this stuff up. But yes, of the 407 entries, 23 of them did not include Edison Rules. There was a 24th. Daniel from Glendale sent in his entry right away. He wanted to be like the first one because he sent it like on the 1st. And he didn't include Edison Rules. But a few days later, he sent in another one, said, I forgot, so please take this one. Here's Edison Rules. So that was fine. I felt badly, of course, each time I found one that didn't say Edison Rules. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just, keep it in there anyway. But that wouldn't be fair to the 384 people who did remember, because that was one of only 2 rules is to put Edison Rules. And so I thought, well, what can I do? I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. If you forgot to put Edison Rules on your entry, you are not included in the drawing. Yesterday...
Well, and I think the large reason for that is because you don't know whether or not they're just writing to you for fun, or whether or not they're doing this part of the entry, or if they sent it in before the whole thing was announced, correct?
That was the original idea, but when somebody sends you a watercolor of an Edison pen but forgets to write Edison Rules, you gotta kind of think they're probably entering the... Anyway. Yeah. Yesterday we got an email from Todd, and Todd is one of the persons I was talking about who did artwork and forgot to write Edison Rules. And his email said, I sent in a hand-drawn card entry into the Edison Pen contest and just realized that I neglected to put Edison Rules anywhere on the card. Oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please accept this as my Edison Rules marking. I promise to be a good boy. I'm sorry, Todd. As much as I would like to, it's not fair to the other 384 people who did, because if I put you in there, even if you didn't win the pen, the number you took might have gone to somebody else. Well, obviously would have been somebody else's number. Am I wrong in my thinking here, gentlemen? Because I'm making this up as I go along.
We have these rules for a reason. It's pretty simple. I mean, it sucks. It totally sucks if you forgot, but we need to stick to them.
And I'm not even going to ask...
It was pretty clear, and rules are rules, and though it honestly probably breaks all 3 of our hearts, especially if someone puts all that effort into a nice piece of artwork, but yeah.
Well, it breaks my heart, and I have a perfect solution. So pay attention, audience, please, to what's about to happen, because I'm about to spring something on Mr. Gray that I have not discussed with him. We're going to see just how generous the man is. Now, I know him well enough to know he's going to say yes.
I can't wait to see what happens off camera after this conversation.
You're not talking about my Urushi artist proof, are you?
No. That would be a private conversation.
You have a couple left that haven't
sold. I know he's going to say yes to this idea. I don't know whether he'll ever come back on our podcast. I think, Brian, how does this sound? We'll do the drawing as it is, as it was advertised. We'll pick a winner from the 384 entries that said Edison Rules, and we'll be done with it. Somebody from that group will win. Then we'll have a second, unannounced, unadvertised, second chance drawing. We'll put the people who forgot to put Edison Rules in there, and we'll pick another winner. So basically you're giving away 2 pens today.
We're giving away 2 Edisons.
That's why I'm asking. Let's see his face.
Who agreed to this? Wait a second.
I said no one has agreed. I'm springing this on you.
You know what? I think that, I alluded to this on a previous broadcast anyways. At one point, we were thinking about for every 100 or so, we would do 1 pen.
See, now
I think
you've
2
gone
pens
from
tonight
being
is a
generous.
great idea. And that way, the people that
people
did
saying, where are my 4
the
mine or
rules
4
will
pens?
have 2 chances. The people that did not will still have their shot at the Edison pen. I think it's great. So let's do 2 tonight.
All right. I think Dan, what do you think?
I think we have to. That sounds freaking awesome.
I don't think it infringes on anybody's chances for the first drawing. I think it's fair and equitable. Oh, there's one thing I will add. Whoever wins the real drawing gets to pick their pen first. Yes?
Okay.
Because otherwise the
All right.
second chance person might snag the pen that the first winner wanted, right? Because this is coming straight from your online inventory. So I think that's what
Correct.
we do. Okay. So I have 2 boxes. I'll show them for the people who are watching the video. This one is filled with 200 of the entries.
Wow.
And the next box is filled with the rest, 207 entries. Each of the entries are marked. There's marks here. For each 10, I put a little index card so I can count through them quickly. I entered everybody's name in a little database, and that assigned them the number as they came in from the post office. But I didn't think that was fair because, somebody from Spain is not going to get a lower number. Assigning a number that way leaves too much to our postal services worldwide. So once everybody was in there, I had another program assign everybody a random number, and that is the number that they're going to pick. Brian,
and you did the infographic, which took how many hours? You put so much work into this, my friend.
Well,
Thank you.
You're
Congratulations.
quite welcome.
Everybody should be thanking you two. You guys do so much work.
You're the one giving away the
Okay,
pens.
I'm done.
plural.
I'm off my soapbox. Go right ahead.
So whenever you're ready, Mr. Gray,
I'm set to go.
I'm going to have you pick a number at random.org from 1 to 384.
Oh, I'm doing this, correct?
Yes, I think it's only fair that you pick the winner. And
random.org. And I'm going from 1 to how many?
384. From
384. Are we ready? Well, I'll just going to come out and announce the number right now, correct?
Yes, as soon as you have it, why don't you? Because that doesn't tell us who won. It only gives us the number that corresponds to a number that corresponds to somebody who won.
Random.org from 1 to 384 gave me 276. 276.
276. Okay.
Oh, the suspense. I can just
I
could cut it
am
with
the
a
only
knife.
one on the planet who knows who won the pen. Now, I will pull the letter. Now, how much information?
I can only drum roll for 3 seconds. So.
For 3 seconds. I'm going
Button
to.
gear, pal.
How much information shall I give about this right away?
Well, is there artwork on it?
This one had no artwork.
Cursive or print?
It is cursive.
What brand of ink?
Brand, I have no idea. It's blue ink.
Yeah, Eric, you should know this.
I sent it all to the scientific laboratory.
Country?
Do you think it's okay to give first and last names?
No,
I think
I'm only going to give the
you think
first
that's okay?
name.
I
I'm gonna give
mean,
the
as
first
long as we're
name.
not giving out addresses and contact information.
I'm only going to give out the first name.
Okay.
But location will tell this person more than anything. This is a man's name. Sometimes I don't know if a name is male or female, and that's how we get some question marks under the gender in the infographic. But this is a name, that, much like Daniel or Brian or Eric, that is obviously a man's name. So, and that makes a lot of sense because the vast majority, 60 some odd % of our entrants were from man names. This person is probably asleep right now. Ooh, what kind of hint was that? No guesses?
I'm guessing, Europe.
It is Europe. We've got a European winner. So, where should I go from there? Should we just?
I'm still waiting for the name.
Oh, you're waiting for
I
the
think
name?
you can say first and last name. Do you think that
I'm
anyone
not
would
sure I
really
can
not
pronounce the
appreciate
last
that as
name.
long as there's
Brian,
no contact
I'm
information
trying-
or address or anything like that? I don't know. Is there any reason to not say who won it?
Yes.
Why is that? I don't know what the reason is.
I'm not sure I can pronounce it.
That's awesome.
Oh, you're not sure you can pronounce the name?
Yes.
Well, you can at least spell it, my friend.
Our winner is Jason from Athens, Greece. So congratulations, Jason. I don't know. Are you in the chat? I have to think it's almost 2:30 in the morning in Greece. You're probably sound asleep. So I will contact Jason via email. Greg Manuskin has offered to do a regrind or a grind on this to a stub or an italic. I'll find out from Jason if he would like either one of those, and then Brian, I'll have Jason pick out the right pen and the nib width, and then I'll let you know whether or not it's going directly to Jason or it's going to Greg first.
Hey,
Well,
in the
there
chat.
is someone. I was just going to say there is someone in chat who claims to be Jason. So if it's you, congrats, man. I can't
Someone
believe
is
you're still
saying-
up for this.
Ian Medium is saying that he is here, guys. Jotterius, or Jotterius.
That is on here.
So if Jotterius or
Jotterius
Jotterius
is-
is Jason, then he is the winner. And if you're from Greece, that's all the better.
Jason, if you are listening, you know how to spell my name in Greek because you put it on the letter. So I don't know. Have we got my name in Greek coming into the chat room?
Oh, I think someone just said I am.
I am.
Jotterius, Jotterius, just said I am. Someone did put his full name in the chat, so... Well, it looks like we have a winner that's in the chat. From what I can tell, it says, yes, I know.
It looks like Kilamantsos.
So, Jason, if you are Jotterius, we're talking to you in chat right now. Thank you for being up this late.
Yeah, I can't believe he actually stayed up for this to watch this live. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for being here.
All right.
Are we moving
Wow.
on?
Excellent.
We're moving on. Now we're going to have that second chance drawing, but I think we'll do that at the end of the show. How's that sound?
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Give more reason to tune in
Yeah.
with all this great content. I was going to say we can't just we can't give away 2 pens at the beginning, can we?
We can do
Let's
anything.
spread this
we
out.
can do anything you want. Let's talk about
As if I'm in charge here.
Let's talk about pen shows, shall we?
Yeah. So the Midland Pinchot took place on June 24th in Lichfield, England, and the Fountain Pen Geeks UK correspondent Art Journey visited the show and took some great photos. The report and photos are in a thread at the FPGeeks forum. You can check it out. It's titled Midland Pinchot, Some Pics for Eric. We can probably even link to that in the show notes afterwards. So thank you very much, Art Journey, and thanks for saying hello to Sarge. Wish we could have been there. Those pictures are beautiful. Wow. Just an amazing place to hold a pen show.
Yeah, there's I put a couple pictures up on the video, and one of them shows a very, very nice stained glass window. I'm not sure what the venue was. It can't be a church. Somebody would have said it was a church, but there's a very nice church-looking stained glass window on one side of the hall, which is reason enough to go. The stained glass and Sarge, there's a pen show.
Oh, yeah, jeez. But coming up after this, July 20th through the 22nd, is the Miami Pen Show. Check it out at miamipenshow.com. They've got a whole schedule and list and lots of details about the show, everything that's going on, all the vendors. And then the big one, coming up August 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, is the DC Super Show.
The Super Show.
Who's all going to that?
I'm going to that.
You going to that?
Dan?
Brian, you going to that?
Dan?
Yeah, I've been known to attend that show. Dan, what's your plans? I was actually going to ask you earlier.
I'm not going to be able to make it.
Dan.
Oh, man!
But now
I
that's
know
So
it.
you can do Ohio, right?
I don't know.
Oh, man, all right.
What do you mean
Let's
by
talk about
Ohio?
mine.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
Ohio? You mean the
It's-
Ohio Pen Show or Edison Pens?
No, I just meant the Ohio show in November.
Oh, that's in November.
Yeah.
So last week, Stephen Brown was on the show and announced that he was attending the DC Pen Show. And this week, you're telling me, Dan, that you won't be attending the DC Pen Show?
Unfortunately.
I think we should just call it a night. We'll end the show now. We can give away a pen some other day. What do you think?
Don't spill ink like Dan. Don't attend pen shows like Dan.
Exactly, right?
Well, Dan, I hope something changes between now and then because you will be sorely missed at the Pen Show.
You know, it's it's not very fun to go to a pen show and not be able to buy anything. And
it's not very fun to go to a pen show and buy things either.
And in all reality, I'd probably have to sell a few pens just to make it there anyway. So I'm not going to make it this year. Hopefully, next year I'll be able to do it. But we'll see what happens.
I'll let you know if Sarge's oversized Donnie Trio is still there. I'm sure it is, though.
Oh yeah, we have to keep an eye on that.
That was a Donnie Trio that you liked, wasn't it?
Oh yes,
yeah,
I know the pen.
All right,
I'll keep
my eye on it.
All right, thanks guys. It's good to have such great friends.
Yeah, well,
I'll email you photos.
Yes, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you'll make it. Mr. Gray, don't you have a birthday coming up soon? Ish.
Do I have a birthday coming up?
You're the.
I personally do not.
You don't?
Me?
Yes, you. You don't have a.
My birthday. My birthday is October.
That's coming up. That's coming up.
Is that
please
gonna be a pen
lead
show
me
around
into
that or what?
That's
Are we
perfect.
gonna have a pen show at in Ohio around my birthday?
My birthday for this year is past. Dan's birthday for this year is past. You're the only one between the three of us that still has a birthday coming up, which leads me to our poll question for this week.
Oh, it was just a clever segue, huh?
Which you didn't help with at all, but that's okay.
You totally ruined.
I totally killed it, didn't I?
The question was and is, will you receive a fountain pen for your next birthday? See, Mr. Gray, you would know this if you ever looked at the FPGeeks website.
Well, I try and keep it spontaneous, that's my excuse.
Not surprisingly, 47% of our respondents said or answered, absolutely, from me to myself. I do that too. I buy myself a fountain pen for my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And
I fall in that same camp.
And if I didn't do that, I would have answered what seven other people did answer, which was, I hope not, they'd get me something wretched. Because really, it's difficult to buy a fountain pen geek a fountain pen.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well, you can always do gift certificates, though.
Gift certificates are good, yes.
There's vendors out there that you could buy, gift certificates or do something like that. Because fountain pens are difficult to buy for someone else, for sure. And unless you really know their preferences. So, gift certificate at birthday time. It's with finger waggling time. You got it?
Yeah. Well, I'm just about to ask you, Edison Pen have gift certificates?
That's not why I brought this up, but yes. But forget that. That's not why I'm here.
I know, you try.
I'm saying there's plenty of vendors out there that have gift certificates.
You are very diligent about not talking about Edison Pens when we're on the show. And thinking about that earlier today, there was something I wanted to ask you specifically about Edison Pens that I thought, he probably won't want to talk about that because we're on the show. And right now I can't remember what it was. Perhaps it will come to me.
Alrighty.
Put you on the spot. I don't have a question right now for next week's poll question. If anybody listening has a suggestion, we do take suggestions from our audience, and oftentimes we even use them.
Absolutely. We've used several.
The next thing on my show outline here, Mr. Smith, is the Disqus. And I mentioned that not because it hasn't already been mentioned, but because I want to show the graphic that I made for the slide.
All right.
I don't think we have anything else to add. Except that you kind of put it up there as a test to see how it went, and it's gone well, has it not?
Yeah, it really is. I created a post, an introduction to Disqus. There's a couple of videos up there that show you exactly what it is. There's a lot of features, especially if you sign up for a Disqus account or you log in with Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Of course, you don't have to have an account to log in. You can still, just put in your username, an email, and leave a comment. It's just as simple as that. But there's a lot of cool things that you get with it. So, and if you want to just test it out, head over to that post, just leave a random comment, and it'll be good to go. No big deal.
Yeah, that post where you introduced Disqus is good. A good place to post a comment as a test, which is what I think I did, or maybe I did it somewhere else. But what I mostly like about that post is that you posted a couple of videos. I like the video that is in sort of a cartoon animation video that gives an overview of Disqus. And that's what kind of sold me on the whole idea. Because, I'm not much for signing up for things. I refuse to use Facebook, although I do like Twitter. And I am leaning towards liking very much this Disqus. There is no perfect solution for a comment system at a website. But this is the best I've seen so far.
It's the best I've seen. And, I did a lot of research between Livefire and there's another one that I'm drawing a blank on, and then other solutions, and nothing really had everything I wanted. And a lot of people use Disqus, so it will track your activity across websites so people can get an idea of what you're interested in. They can follow you, things like that. It's just a very cool system, and so we decided to go with this.
And I'm liking it so far. And I don't think we've gotten any terrible comments about it, have we?
Not that I've seen.
Good. Because that's usually the bigger problem is not the system that you're using, but you change. I don't like change myself, especially, I was very comfortable with our commenting system, and then I woke up one morning and there was Disqus. I'm going, what is this? Because I don't always get the memo on these things, but I'm happy with this change, and I hope everyone else is too. Let's move on to a beautiful pen. This is the second week in a row. You weren't here. Neither one of you were here last week when we talked about the Monteverde, the Napa collection.
Yes.
Where they borrowed colors from the Napa area of California. And this week we're talking about Catalina.
Right. These are the new Monteverde Catalina fountain pens. They're pearlized materials. They come in a blue, a black, and a brown. And they've got, some rings on the cap. The brown one has black rings, and the other two colors have white rings. And I love their marketing material because... They say it has a revolutionary clip with a roller wheel.
Yes, that is so revolutionary.
I could have swore I've seen that before on another pen.
Or two.
But you know what? I actually really like this clip design. I'll let the revolutionary comment slide this time. I like those type of clips. And when I first posted this, I posted pictures of prototype pens that had a matte silver trim and hardware. And we had someone from Jaffa contact us and said, hey, the production pens actually have shiny chrome trim. Everyone that we've showed these to in person have always picked the shiny chrome trim over the matte silver trim. So that's why we went with shiny chrome. So I updated that. I asked people what they thought. And in the comments, people seem to like the matte silver trim in pictures better than the chrome trim.
I would have fallen into that group. I like the matte finish. Now, is that because I think I generally like matte, but oftentimes it's the first pen people see that they like the most. It's like the first James Bond you see is the James Bond you like the most. Isn't that right, Mr. Gray? Jump in here anytime.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide which I like better. You know what I would like to see about this pen? I'd like to see a photo of the cap actually on the barrel so that I can see, the overall shape. Sometimes when fountain pen companies advertise their pen and they show it in one formation, capped, uncapped, and not the other, then it kind of drives me nuts because I really can't evaluate the design very well. I'm guessing there's no other trim or any other hardware on the barrel, but I like to see the overall shape. A pen to me needs to look good capped and uncapped if possible. I just like to see that. As far as the satin versus polished, I can go either way.
Well, as far as an image of the pen with the cap in place, we'll find that for you and we'll send it to you. How's that?
Get on that quickly, please.
We'll take care of that right away, sir.
So, this pen, it is a cartridge converter filler. It comes with a fine, medium, broad nib, and one thing that they did that is going to kind of redeem themselves from that cartridge converter filler is they're offering it with a stub nib. And in my experience, Monteverde factory stub nibs are very good. I got one on the Invenza Stealth, and it was superb. I loved it. I'm actually going to try and order several more of just those nibs to put in other pens. But this pen is currently available for $125.
And if you want a ballpoint?
Yeah, I suppose if anybody would ever want a ballpoint, you can get one for $95.
People
ballpoint
do use
or rollerball is?
It's a ballpoint.
It's a ballpoint.
Okay.
Ballpoint, rollerball. Yeah, there are people who use ballpoints. In fact, I own a ballpoint.
I know you do.
And one of the things I am most impressed with about Monteverde is their nibs. When we did the Invincia stylus, the stealth version,
yes.
I believe I got the fine nib, and it wrote out of the box amazingly smooth, especially for a fine nib. I was truly amazed with that nib, and I know you were very happy with you got the stub nib, correct?
Yep.
I think you just said that. And just like last week when we talked about Monteverde's Napa collection, which is also available with a stub nib, I'm betting this is going to be the only pen we talk about this week that could be ordered with a stub nib. And I'm talking about pens that are much, much more expensive than $125. We'll have to go down and when we see the Maya, see if it comes with a stub version.
That is a good price. And actually, I really do like, it looks like they have the mountainscape kind of like imprinted across the front of the nib.
The nib is beautiful.
That's pretty sharp.
The imprint design is one of the most original, good-looking designs I've seen on a nib in a long time. I really like it.
And it looks like the mountainscape inscription or stamp goes right through the breather hole too.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job with these nibs.
That looks pretty cool.
Both in design and function. I am very happy with their nibs. I've had that Invincia stylus, and I currently have the Artista Crystal, or Cristal, whatever it is. And of course now I'm really looking at this. I like the brown Catalina. But we can move on.
I think my vote goes towards the brown too, out of the three that I saw up there.
So, platinum. Have you guys ever heard of ISOT?
I have never heard of it
ISOT
until I read about it at FPGeeks.com.
It's the International Stationery and Office Products Fair Tokyo. It's a huge event that takes place at Tokyo Big Sight, which is kind of the nickname for the Tokyo International Exhibition Center. And this event, it hosts 1,700 vendors from 25 different countries.
Holy smokes.
Our Edison Pen contest hosted visitors from 29 different countries.
Well, we definitely need to advertise that then.
Neener.
So this is, it's definitely a big deal. And Platinum, they won an award in functionality and design for their 3776 Bourgogne. And that's the maroon, that burgundy clear looking pen with that special capsule mechanism that prevents the nib from drying out when left unused for like a year or something.
And that is that cap system is the reason they won the award, right?
Well, I don't know, because they do offer that cap system in other 3776 pens. So I'm guessing it's kind of the color combination of the pen, that clear burgundy with the gold trim.
It is a beautiful pen.
I think it's a gorgeous pen. I would love to get my hands on one.
We could probably arrange that.
I think we could.
I think we'll arrange that. Yeah.
If only you were coming to D.C., we'd buy one there for you.
Thanks, Brian.
Can expect that a few more times, I'm sure. From Mr.
I'm going to get some odds out of that and Ohio if you can't make it to the Ohio show also. Expect to hear it, pal.
I'm not, controlling the background here because...
Right.
Congrats to Platinum for that. I really like their pens. I don't have any yet. Well, at least not, in this kind of class. But I'm really looking forward to getting one.
Shall we go to Italy?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We've been to Spain for Euro Cup. We've been to Greece to give away a pen. Let's go to Italy now and talk about something Omas.
Ooh. They've released their new Roma collection. And you want to talk about some limited edition pens. They've got it in spades here. They're coming out with 3 different versions of this. One, they're all piston fillers, first of all. One is limited to 753 pens made out of a maroon cotton resin, enamel, and yellow gold. This pen will sell for $1,695. The pen that you see on the screen now is made from sterling silver, enamel, pearl charcoal gray cotton resin with a cornelian cabochon. And only 214 of these will be made, but you're going to have to drop about $3,500 on it. And then there's one more. There's only going to be 4 of these made. It will be made from gold, diamonds, and pearl white cotton resin. I could not get a picture, and I could not get a price. So, unfortunately, I have no idea how we're going to find out what that's going to be.
We're probably not going to find out. We probably don't want to know anyway. The other one is already $3,500.
Do we know what white cotton resin is? Is the cotton aspect of that just a name for the color, or is it literally somehow they're using cotton in the resin?
I think that's what it is. They're using cotton in the resin.
Wow.
It makes for a super light pen. I want to say that I've used it, or I've held a pen like that before, and I couldn't believe how light it was, and it was supposedly made out of that cotton resin.
Yeah.
I have a question about the cap. The top of the cap, doesn't it look like something you could use on touch screens like your iPad or your iPhone?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I'm going to do that, though.
Now,
What's your guys' overall thoughts on the design of this pen?
I'm going to bring the picture back up then.
All right.
Well, I actually really like it. Well, I only like the silver and charcoal gray colored pen. I like the color combination. I like that little splash of red or magenta that's in it. I don't really care much for the price. If I was going to drop $3,000 on a pen, it would be the Hitchcock.
That was my thought exactly. Is I like this pen. It looks nice. It's a piston filler. I like that. But the price just takes it off the table for me. If I had that kind of money I was going to spend on a pen, I'd be getting a Hitchcock. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really good-looking pen. I'll tell you what I normally don't like is when pen companies have a huge, wide center band and they choose to print something monstrous all the way around it. I'm usually not a big fan of that, but with this pen, I think it actually works. Maybe it's the architectural look and the length and the clip, and it all comes down and the font kind of matches well. For whatever reason, I'm almost never a fan of a huge center band that has monstrous text going around in a circle, because it just, I don't know, it looks gaudy. But in my mind, this doesn't offend me. I actually kind of like this design.
I think the text on this huge center band would offend me more if it were the manufacturer's name.
I agree. It's the theme that they're going with.
Right.
Yeah. But even then, usually I'm not a big fan of that either, because it's like, well, no matter what you do, a pen like that is going to get people's attention from 2 miles away, no matter what. So having that large text probably doesn't make a big difference. But what I'm saying is normally I don't like that. In this case, it doesn't turn me off.
How about the price?
Well, come on. I mean, I generally...
I think
anything above a couple of $100, and honestly, for me, I just kind of think, you know what? Usually it's like,
that.
Can I find a way to trade for it? And in this case, I can't, so I just dream. I know I'll never own it, but...
Maybe we'll see one in D.C., though, when we're there, Brian, huh?
When we're there. If we see one, Dan, I promise I'll send you a photo.
We'll even weigh it and let you know how much it weighs.
Well, I can tell you the dimensions of it if you're interested.
Sure, go ahead.
It's actually very similar to a Mont Blanc 149. It's 144 millimeters long by 15.5 millimeters in diameter. So it's actually just slightly shorter than a 149 and just a little bit bigger in diameter. So I think it would be a pretty comfortable pen.
It's larger in diameter than the 149?
By like 0.01 of an inch.
Interesting.
When we hold one live in D.C., we'll let you know.
We'll put it next to my 149 and take a picture.
I'm sorry.
I'm so terrible. We're both terrible. You're fired, Brian.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
Speaking of Brian, let's talk about Brian Anderson, who was here on the show last week.
You're with.
Dan,
can we have on the show?
By the way, Dan, I'm so glad you're here this week. Last week on the show, it was me and Brian Anderson and Stephen Brown, and it was Brian Anderson's first... Brian, are you in the audience? Because I'm about to talk about you. I don't know if I should. It was his first appearance on the show. So, when you bring somebody on new, you have to make sure everything is right for them. Brian Gray's been here so many times, we don't have to worry about him anymore. He can show up 10 minutes before the show with no power, and somehow it works. I was so preoccupied with getting Brian Anderson on the show and Stephen from Holland and everybody all coordinated, I just kind of glided over the fact that Dan wasn't on the show. And people afterwards are saying, "Oh, I hope Dan's okay." Yes, he's perfectly fine. He just couldn't make it to that show.
Because you weren't saying anything, we assumed there was like a tremendous illness or there was a car wreck or...
I think I cleaned it up near the end of the show, but up until then I had forgotten to...
I'm so glad that our viewers and our readers noticed I was missing when our two co-hosts didn't even, give a crap. But
anyway, he just said a bad word. I'm going to have to clean that up.
I did not.
Speaking of Brian,
there goes your rating on iTunes.
Speaking of Brian Anderson, not only was he good enough to join us last week on our FP Radio, and was almost called upon for this week's episode as well, if Brian Gray couldn't find electricity, he also contributed an article about vintage hard rubber pens to Fountain Pen Geeks, the website, which I found very nice. I don't particularly want a vintage red hard rubber pen, because for me they've always been, I've had two and they're problematic. I guess haven't had good luck with them. Dan, do you have any red hard rubber?
I don't. Looking at the pictures, I would like to get one, but you know that they can be fragile, they can be problematic, and I don't want to have, you know, that issue, because I want to be able to use this pen. I want to be able to take it places, you know, throw it in my 20 pen case and use it. I don't want to have to treat it, you know, special and only have it, you know, on my desk and have to be delicate with it.
Well, I don't think that's an issue with Brian Anderson, because you know, he has a huge, like a filing cabinet full of pens with the shallow drawers, and the pictures, I have not verified this with Brian, but I know the pictures of all the pens in the pictures that he submitted with the article, he just opened a drawer and took the pens out and took their pictures, and now they're back in his drawer in his collection. So yeah, no, we just go to his house at the pen show. But I was
thinking of a pen show at between he and Lisa, don't forget, because, you know, when they got married, that was not only the marriage of man and woman, that was like two monster pen collections all coming together too.
Well, I think that's I believe they joke about that being the reason they did get married.
Yeah, do you know the whole story?
Specifically to
if I remember correctly, they were both bidding against each other on eBay.
Yes.
And, you know, Lisa would always think, "Oh, who is this guy that's always on my auctions?" And he was thinking, "Who's this person that's always on my auctions?" And then they met that way. I don't know the whole story, but I believe
Mr.
that's
Gray,
how they happened.
We actually have a special segment called Geek of the Week at our website, and she was one of the first people on there, and she explains that very thoroughly.
I listened to the first 10 minutes, and then
that's all we ever get out of Brian.
I thought I'd tell you guys a nice romantic pen story, and here I am just reiterating something that's already been covered by the geeks.
Well, that is true. Many of our listeners may not know that story and may not be aware that she has a Geek of the Week interview. And I think the reason that worked out is because back in the day when they were bidding at eBay, that's when you could actually see who the other bidders were. You could see their screen name. You could contact them and say, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
would you like to get married?" The flip side of that coin, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Anderson, I think both of them were married at the time they met. So there's your romantic story.
I don't know.
I think that's how Pen World is. It's a patent place, but not everybody's going to know what a patent place is. Huh? Why don't we move on?
Brian did just confirm that, by the way. He said yes in the chat.
See, and I think
he is here.
The only reason I know that is because that's what Lisa said in the Geek of the Week interview.
Well, someone paid attention to that interview. It must have been the interviewer, huh?
Must have been. Am I the only one?
I think Dan's just jabbing me because he's sick of the DC jokes.
Oh, well, you could bring that back
Think
up.
so.
Mr. Smith, I'm
Yes,
so
sir.
glad you post about the Penna Vintage Online Catalog magazine.
I can't help but not to. I mean, as soon as I see it go up, you know, I want to put it out on the website because it's just packed with so much good vintage fountain pen information. I mean, and, you know, being, you know, platform independent, I mean, you don't have to have a special app. You can view it on your phone, your tablet, your computer, in just a web browser. I mean, it's awesome. I really, really like it.
Fantastic eye candy. Some people do call it pen porn. I would have to agree with that. I think Pen World Magazine needs to pay attention here. This is how a magazine, at least this should be an option. I know some people, including myself, I like to have a real magazine sometimes in my hand.
There's a lot of things Pen World needs to pay attention to.
All right, we'll just get that out on the table. Yes, pay attention, Pen World. Let's go digital. Okay. We can move on now.
All right, what's next?
Pelican. Last week
We're going to talk about Pelican?
Last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about how they're raising their prices. And now we're going to
if you don't like high prices, I don't think you're going to like this stuff.
Well, this is auction. They might go for $25.
Yeah, so Pelican is starting somewhat of a new endeavor. They're going to hold an auction, and they've had 11 one-of-a-kind Maki-e fountain pens created. None of these have ever, been created before. It's only, for this special event, and it's going to be held. It's going to start in October, and there's going to be 12 auctions. There will be one auction for each pen, and then an additional auction for a set of 4 books about Maki-e. And each auction will last 1 week, and there will be a website to register, to sign up, to be a bidder, and then when the auctions go live, you can start bidding. And we don't have any information on the pens yet. More of that will come out in August. As far as I know, we are the first place to feature this information. I know Pen World is supposed to have some information about it in their next magazine, but I contacted Pelican, I contacted ChartPack, and this was all I could get out of them. They really don't want to talk about this until August.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, what's the over and under on that pen that's up on the website right now? What would you expect that to go for?
Man,
it's Maki-e, Brian. You know,
I know.
Without knowing exactly what is that gold? Is that real gold powder that they're using?
What will people pay? I mean, I'm sure it's real gold powder. I mean, if they're doing this really special thing, I'm sure this is cream of the crop Maki-e. I'm sure that's all gold. I'm sure this is,
Is there any urushi? Is urushi covering all the Maki-e?
Yeah.
Let's assume
these are going for $3,000 easy each.
I wouldn't be surprised if they hit 5 or more.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
That's what I was going to say. I think
3.
that my over and under would be $4,000, and then we'll take bets on whether it goes over 4.
I don't know what pen is the base. I'm guessing it's going to be the M1000. You would think that it's kind of their marquee pen, but I mean that's what a $800 pen by itself.
Yeah.
You add one of a kind Maki-e artwork to it, it's going to skyrocket.
I don't know that I like the design of Pelican pens enough to put Maki-e and urushi on them. I'll just say that. I'm
okay with it. I like it.
Okay, good. I'm glad you are. You get one of these pens then, would you?
I'll sign. I'll get on the auction block right now.
Well, I won't have any money for that because I'll be too busy saving my pennies for a Montegrappa.
Can you see some billionaire in Italy will be all mad because this Brian Gray with the Edison Pen Company is bidding this thing up to $4,000 just to make him mad, not because I want it, just to make him mad.
And we would never see that. So what's the point?
I wouldn't worry about it.
So Montegrappa has come out with the Mayan calendar limited edition pens, and if you couldn't afford those Pelican Maki-e pens, you're not going to be able to afford one of these. I mean, these are just ridiculous. So what's that, Brian?
Better buy it this year.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
If the
all right.
I'm waiting for all the jokes. You don't have to worry about it. You just throw it on your credit card and you'll be fine, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Well,
price doesn't matter.
I was thinking about a second on the house for that $138,000 one, and 6 months no payments, and by then I won't have to make a payment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So each of these pens are piston filling fountain pens, but they use a special Montegrappa piston filler that's supposed to feel like the winding movement of a mechanical watch. So I don't know how they do that, but I bet it's going to feel awesome. Each pen comes with an 18-karat gold nib and an ebonite feed. There will be 360 solid bronze pieces, which represents the number of days in a Mayan year. And the bronze pen will sell for $5,985.
$6,000, just say it. $6,000.
$6,000. All right, there. That wasn't too bad, was it? So they're also doing another one made of solid sterling silver. This will be 360 pieces as well. It's created using a lost wax casting technique, which, it's a very detailed technique, but they do enhance it a little bit by hand to get even more detail out of it. And it's accented with translucent red enamel. And this one's a little bit more expensive. It's going to be almost $8,400.
And this is the one I like.
This is the one I like too. I mean, I think it actually looks pretty good.
Well, they're making 360. We could probably each get one.
Okay, yeah, sure. But, if this is still just pocket change for you, don't worry. They're making 20 solid gold versions of these, and 20 is the number of days in each month of the Mayan calendar. Now, the cap and barrel of the solid gold pens are completely etched by hand. That's all that work that you see there is done by hand. And this also has the translucent red enamel as well. And like Eric said previously, this sells for just under $138,000.
Amazing prices on these things.
I wonder, honestly, would they take 131 if you offered?
I doubt it. These are
Try
probably
it.
sold already.
Yeah.
And
I was also thinking they couldn't get Jean-Claude Van Damme to design this either.
Well, I think they're in talks with his agent.
Sorry, I shouldn't
Stop
poke fun. I just no. You go from this Chaos pen to this pen, and then a price tag of 137. I just you see the market going crazy. Especially Montegrappa is just going nuts with some really really high end pens.
Well, I
just wonder who's buying.
They have
them,
a special clientele that buys those pens. We get to
That's
look at
true.
the pictures and we get to see the price tags. Whether or not they go for that price, I don't know. But I think before they decide to make 20 units of pens that are 138,000 each, they already know they got 15 of them sold, or all of them.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They have a group of collectors who might even be in on the decision-making process during design.
I wonder if Stallone would buy one of those. He'd be like, "No, man, that's one ugly pen."
Did we just get a Stallone imitation from Mr.
Sorry,
Gray?
that was about halfway. I thought to myself, I'm just going to go full out and try and do a Stallone imitation, and then halfway through, I just gave up. So it wasn't that good. I'm just thinking,
Yeah, clean it
he
up.
probably
Clean it
regards
up.
this as being ugly.
When he calls me, I'm giving him your phone number.
Hey, yo.
Speaking of high prices, let's talk about another pen company.
Yeah, Pelican, is not the only one that's been raising prices. And this was a little surprise to me, but Nakaya is actually raising their prices on August 1st. And get ready, anywhere from 22 to 37%. So,
Wow.
yeah, but thankfully the price increase is only for the black Urushi models. So until the end of July, their least expensive Nakiya will be $400, which actually isn't that bad. And this will be, let's see, the Rider portable and the Cigar portable. And then as of August 1st, everything is going to jump up to $550, which actually brings it in line with every one color Urushi pen that they offer. So no matter what color you pick, it's just going to be straight $550 across the board.
But these are still Urushi. They're not raw ebonite, correct?
No, they're Urushi, black Urushi covered.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha.
But I think the colored pens have more than one color on them, don't they? I don't know.
Well, the one you can get one single. You can get like that dark burgundy colored Urushi, and that's $550. So they have single colored Urushi pens that are $550.
Right, and I think if you're going to get an Urushi pen, you need to get something with color. And
I would,
a price increase at Nakaya of 22 to 37% doesn't bother me at all, because it would be very easy for me to cut my Nakaya purchasing back by 22 to 37%. Very simple. How about you, Dan?
if they were raising all of their pens that much, I think that would be a big deal. There'd really be something to that. But I think they said on their website they hadn't had a raise, or I think these pens had been at this price for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's
we'll let
hard to-
them. We'll give them permission to raise their prices. 8 years ago, they probably didn't have any sales either. Now that we talk about them every week and make them sound so fantastic, they're getting sales. Oh, good, let's raise the prices.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, this is a Urushi pen for $550. I mean, I still think whether it's pigmented or not, I still think that's pretty reasonable. An entry level Urushi pen from Nakaya for $550, whether it's $450 or $550, I still think that's in a reasonable range.
I agree. $550 is reasonable. It's just a big jump all at once. And this is happening every week, it seems like. Perhaps I'm exaggerating, but I know we were just talking about Pelican raising their prices.
Well, in just a few months.
Dan has frozen, so we'll just leave him there.
Before that, we were talking. What about now? Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. We got just a few months ago or something.
I was going to say, and just a few months before that, we were talking about Pelican raising their prices too. So
Yeah.
it always used to be Pelican.
Well, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what makes them think they should. No, somebody else raised their prices, and I think it made you want to buy the pen, or you did buy the pen, wasn't it, Dan?
Was Lammy, yeah.
Yeah, Lammy was raising the prices.
Dialogue 3 was one of those, and I'd been wanting it for a while, and that actually, it helped me make my decision, so I went and bought it.
That was the Dialogue 3.
It was, yes.
Right. Speaking of very nice pens, Ian Dixon shared his daily carry pens with us this week. I trust you both went and took a look.
Yes,
I did.
I did.
You did.
Wow.
Did you have a
You
favorite
realize
pen?
you realize that's aimed strictly at me, don't you?
I covered that up nicely. You didn't have to bring attention to that.
I did take a look. I'm teasing you anyways.
What do you think of that?
I gave Dan enough DC crap. I think it's time to dish it out to you now.
All right. I'm ready. I have my finger
I'm done.
on your mute button. I think my favorite pen is the Retro 51 Twilight Zone Limited Edition. How about you two?
Yeah, that would be the pen.
I imagine Ian is probably in the audience. He said he was looking forward to the show for quite some time. And I want to say thank you, Ian. I sent a private message via our forums to Ian, just asking may I have a word, because I wanted to hit him up for this daily carry slot. And he said, yes, what's your phone number? Which, never happens. So I gave my phone number, he called me. I think we were on the phone for an hour. It was just such a pleasant conversation. And I'm guessing, but I think it was like an hour after that, the photos of the pens and the information about the pens came in. He was right on the ball. And
wow.
I would be too. If I had that Retro 51, I'd be wanting to show it off too.
That picture there of all his pens, I could just sweep all those up into my hand, walk off, and be happy.
I don't think you could do that, but there would be another one someday that catches your eye. That's how we are. We're just terrible that way.
Honestly, I'm going to be very, very truthful here. I've seriously considered selling like half my collection and just buying a Hitchcock.
I don't think that would be a bad idea.
I mean,
perhaps we would talk about that off the air, but
yes, we can.
That pen is an amazing, amazing pen. If you like Hitchcock, if you don't like Hitchcock, then don't get a Hitchcock pen. And why are we talking about Hitchcock when it's a Retro 51 anyway?
So
it's a really, really, really nice pen. Beautiful pen.
I think that I like that Stipula number 3. Although the center band is a little bit gaudy, I'm a huge sucker for that Cumberland Ebonite.
The Ebonite is beautiful. I think Dan and I both had misgivings about the clip, which I think was what Ian liked most about it. So
I think that as a pen designer, here's what I really enjoy about that pen. Granted, the clip and the center band might look a little bit over the top, but what I really like, if you take a close look at this, they were able to take a number 6 nib and then transition to a huge fat body. If you look at that, it's a number 6 nib on the body that's just as big as a 149, and it works visually. In other words, it's a relatively small nib on a large pen without getting out of proportion. From a designer standpoint, that section that is going from the nib out to the barrel threads and then out big right there, that's kind of inspiring for me. I like how they were able to take a huge pen and put a number 6 nib on it.
And I understand it's a flexi nib. Maybe not.
A flex italic is what I saw.
Flex italic. So I believe he said he was liking the flex, and he's expecting the titanium flex on another stipula any day in the mail. And I know he just got another 51 because he showed me a picture of that. And then we had a discussion about the Queen of England likes to use her 51. And I said, I didn't know that. Anyway.
So what was the one that was obviously or that was purposely mislabeled or misidentified?
You know which one it was.
I actually don't.
Are you looking at the picture right now? Brian?
Yes, I am.
The one that is identified as a Retro 51 Twilight Zone limited edition from the year 2013 might be a clue. That's the Mont Blanc Alfred Hitchcock.
Gotcha. Well, you guys
aren't you
had me
supposed to be
completely
a
fooled
pen
then.
guy, Brian?
I know. I didn't catch on to that at all. You know, honestly, I got to say, I'm not a big fan of Mont Blanc except for 149s and 146s. Everything else, I don't pay that much attention to.
Well,
I'll be honest, I really don't.
The Alfred Hitchcock, is a 146 in a nice costume.
I gotcha. Is it really?
Well, it's the same
like
size,
I said,
yeah.
I'm not a big Mont Blanc fan except for 149s and 146s. So looking at that and seeing that it was a retro 51, I thought, well, okay, that's probably not right, but at the same time, I just let it go and I glossed over it.
What I like was in this particular case, because I misidentify a pen so that people can hint at the error in the comment section. People had fun with this one. You know,
Yeah.
because
You actually had some really good ones this time.
really good comments on this one that, of course, referenced many Alfred Hitchcock movies, which gave it away. Didn't it?
I guess I should have known because looking at all the nibs, there isn't a retro 51 nib in there.
No,
Ha-ha.
but there is one with Alfred Hitchcock's profile.
I did see that now.
Yeah.
And the
So
the
talking
vent
about-
was right on his ear.
Ian's pens that he got. Have you guys recently acquired anything interesting?
Interesting. I got some ink. If you'd like to hear about ink, yes, I'm going to tell you about this ink because it's an
All right.
interesting story. It has to do with our Edison Pen Giveaway. As I say, I open all of our entries and I read them, and I got one from John the Monkey, who included not only a little note but artwork. And as soon as I started reading his note, I'm saying, "Wow, what ink is this?" Because I also have to write down what color ink they're using. This is a very interesting ink, I'm thinking. I'm reading, and then at the bottom, he says that this missive, written with diamine amazing amethyst, will it win Eric over to purple inks? I said, oh, you cheeky little, okay. As a matter of fact, it did win me over. And so I went online immediately. This is part 2 of my story, to find some of this amazing amethyst. And I had been paying attention to the Pen Addict and the Pen Addict podcast, and because of the Pen Addict, I'm constantly reminded that I need to visit Jet Pens. Jet Pens, I have found, based on this ink, has great prices on ink, and I only have to spend $25 to get free shipping. So I am sitting here right now with my new bottle of amethyst, amazing amethyst, thanks to Jet Pens and thanks to John the Monkey. I have not cracked it open yet. I'm not sure which pen to use it in, but that's my new acquisition of the week. I don't have a new pen this week. How about you,
that's
Mr.
too bad.
Smith?
So yeah, I actually have a little bit of ink too. I was recently given around 200 ink samples by a very generous fountain pen enthusiast.
Did you say 200?
Around there, yes. Under the stipulation that I give Sean Newton whatever he wanted to help his Pen for Kids cause. So I went ahead and did that. You know, I grabbed a few samples out of there, and then everything left over we're going to give away on the live show. So we'll do that over the next it'll probably last us several months. But, you know, we've got a bunch of samples from Noodlers, Private Reserve, J. Urban, Rohrer and Klingner, Lamy, Visconti, Waterman, you know, a little bit of everything. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Have you taken inventory?
No, I haven't, and I probably won't, just because it would probably take me a couple hours.
I want an inventory and an infographic, please.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Did you have something from our forums this week?
Yeah, there's actually a few things. In our Lamy forum, yes, you heard that right. We have an actual forum just for Lamy pens. Boggin, I hope that's, you know, how he says it. He started a topic called Lamy Collection, and in there he posts pictures of all his Lamy pens. He has 9 All-Stars, 8 Safaris, 2 Joys, 2 Necks, 1 Logo, and 1 Studio.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I didn't even know they had that many different All-Stars.
Well, he's a Lamy fan, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's a really cool thread. We'll have that in the show notes. Definitely check it out. Contribute to it if you've got some Lamys in your collection. We also had a review of the Stipula Bon Voyage by Writing Rav, and turns out the pen is every bit as good as we'd hoped. We had covered it, probably a few months ago now. It had a few improvements over, what was the name of the previous pen? Do you remember?
The Passaporto?
Yes. It had, a clip. I think the cap screwed on as it posted, and just a few other little improvements. And, it turns out he really likes it. So it was cool to read that. And then a fun thread I saw popped up by J.F. Sisler called Your Most Embarrassing Pen Moment. And she actually describes hers as being in a stationery store, finally getting the clerk behind the counter to talk about pens, and she goes to pull out her Esterbrook to show it off and everything. She pulls the cap off and it just spews ink all over the counter. Yeah, she was so embarrassed, but it's got really good conversation there, so definitely stop by and leave your embarrassing story, because we'd like to hear it.
I'll bet most embarrassing moments in the fountain pen community revolve around ink.
Oh man, Brian, you've got to have some good ones.
I can't tell it. You guys would lose your iTunes rating if I told my story.
I can edit you out later. That's what I usually do with you. Speaking of forums, you turned on the chat box recently, I noticed.
Yeah, we did. We've had it on for a while, but it's always been at the bottom. I decided to go ahead and move it to the top just to see what people thought, and I even started a poll, to get a better idea. A few people said they used it, they liked it. Some said they didn't really use it, but it didn't bother them. And no one actually said that they didn't like it or would like to see it removed. So, we kept it there. Every time I go, I always see people in there chatting. You can view the archive of the last 24 hours. I think it's just kind of a neat little thing. You catch a few fountain pen geeks in there and you chat a little bit.
It's like our version of a water cooler.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool. I like it. I'm glad people are stopping by and using it. I think we're
Wait,
gonna.
I do have an embarrassing moment.
Oh.
At one point, I was known to confuse a Mont Blanc for a Retro 51.
I'm going to listen to this. When I'm editing this in post, I'm going to see how many seconds it took you from the time we asked for an embarrassing moment. We're going to see how your processor's doing, how fast that
All right, thank you.
Or how slow. We're going to skip the Geek Challenge this week.
No.
We didn't do it last week for technical difficulties. We were ready. I've got the questions here. We were ready to do it this week, but instead we're going to give away another Edison pen. And how many times do I get to say that? And
2 Edisons in one show.
2 Edison pens in one show. The rules are as follows. This time, all the entries will be in the drawing, including the ones that did not say Edison Rules. This is our second chance drawing. But, of course, everybody who did write Edison Rules is also in the drawing. The rule is Jason, who won the contest, the advertised contest, gets to choose his pen first. I think that's fair, don't you?
Sounds good.
And then this is like the runner-up who gets the same prize, gets to choose his or her pen after Jason chooses his.
The odds of them both wanting the same pen out of way more than 200 anyways is slim, but very nice sentiment there, Eric. I appreciate it.
Okay. I'm glad we all agree. I'm going to spill the beans, though, on one of my true-false statements that I had ready for Geek Challenge. And I'll just ask you guys, even though I know you can see them here on the show notes, because 4th of July, Independence Day for us in the United States is right around the corner. My third true-false statement is true or false. The Declaration of Independence was written with a quill pen. Either one of you can jump in. Anybody from the audience want to jump in?
I have no idea.
Brian Gray has no idea.
I see a lot of trues in the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to say true.
The quill pen is...
I doubt it was a Retro 51. It's not that retro.
Yes, my research indicates that it was indeed written with probably more than one quill pen, with quill pens.
I would think so.
I don't know what else they would have used, so it makes perfect sense to me, but I thought that was an apropos true or false statement for just before the 4th of July. But since we're skipping the Geek of the Week, it wasn't going to come out unless I made it come out. I am ready here. I have rearranged everybody's numbers and added back in the people who did not qualify, who are now qualified. And now, because I took Jason out, and there's only 406 entrants, Mr. Gray, I need our second winner to be drawn from 1 to 406.
I am on random.org. I am generating from 1 to 406. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I have a number,
What is it?
and it is
Yes.
45.
45. Nice low number.
Yep, 45.
All right. I know who the winner is. 45.
Is they from Switzerland?
Is they from Switzerland? Is that from a movie that I'm not catching?
No, you said I know who the winner is, so it kind of.
Did I say it like that? I'm sorry.
That's what it sounded like. I thought you were kind of giving us.
That would have
giving
been
us a
German,
hint.
not Switzerland. What's the official language of Switzerland?
I don't know.
Mr. Gray,
It sounded kind of Russian to me.
take the rest of the day off. All right, this person is probably awake. Because this person lives in what country, gentlemen? Guesses? I'm taking guesses.
Let's say United States.
Let's say United States.
All right.
It is the United States. It is the East Coast. The ink is black. The writing is cursive. And the name is definitely female.
Ooh.
This person did not send art, but sent one of those very nice, humbling letters that I was talking about. This person lives in the state of Virginia, in the city of Richmond, and her name is Melody. Melody, last name starts with a J, has won our non-advertised second chance.
Wow.
And just for everybody's edification, Melody is not one of the persons who forgot to write Edison Rules. So y'all had a chance, even though you didn't write Edison Rules, but you didn't win. I'm so sorry. But you were in the second drawing. So we have Jason from Athens and Melody from Richmond, who will be contacting Mr. Gray shortly, I'm sure. Jason probably already picked out his pen if he was here in the chat. We did get quite a few people who said, I've just been drooling over the pens ever since the contest was announced. I think this was a fantastic contest. Mr. Gray, I can't thank you enough. It was a lot of fun.
Though. I have 15 emails in my inbox all identifying themselves as Jason. I'm kidding.
Darn, I sent too many, didn't I?
My name's Jason. Can I have a pen?
Actually, I think one of those might have been from me. So just
that's a good point. We are a fountain pen community that would probably play lots of chess. I can imagine there's 15 of us who would do that to you, Brian, and me included. If I had only thought of it and hadn't been in the middle of a podcast, I'm sure I would have done that. Not to take anything away from Mr. Gray and his generosity and the wonderfulness of Edison pens and how much they rule, we will announce a new contest tomorrow that does not include Edison pens. We're going to give Brian a little bit of a break here now that I've made him give 2 pens away.
By the way, if I could jump in, Jason jumped in on the chat and said, "What? I want to make. Don't worry, Jason. You'll
Someone's
get your
stealing
pen.
my
I was
pen?
making a joke. I was completely making a joke."
Jason, it was wonderful for that you stayed up to listen to us. You go to bed now. Go to bed. Your pen is fine. You get first choice of all the pens. Next month's drawing will be another old school where people get to write in, because I happen to enjoy this, and I hope everybody else does.
I can't wait to see some of these because I still haven't seen any yet.
Oh, you'll see some. You'll see some.
You mean the artwork?
Just any of the entries, because they all go to Eric.
Yeah.
And he hasn't bothered to send them to me yet.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. I've already laid out my plans. You guys visited the shop. You know that I've got those cabinets that are all laid out with all the fan mail and letters and everything that I like to post.
Yes,
and it's way too crowded on there. So today I already figured out my plans. I'm going to take like a sheet of foam insulation and cover it with fabric and make a 4x8 bulletin board on the shop. So I can, appropriately, because right now I just don't have room for the fan mail that already exists, let alone, all these, entries that I believe Eric will be kind enough to send to me to put on the wall. And whenever I'm feeling depressed or not feeling too hot, I can look at those and feel good about myself. How's that?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. And you will be very pleased reading these letters.
That's cool.
There were a couple of complaints. I'll take those out. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Nah, leave them all in. That's all right.
Do either one of you want me to tell you what the next pen is going to be, or shall I just,
Yes, because I don't even know.
I know you don't know.
I'm supposed
so every
to be
time
part
I'm
of
about
this.
to say it, I get interrupted. But if you're both finished, go ahead, beg.
Go right ahead.
Next month's pen will be a Franklin Christoph desk pen. I talked to Scott. It's a Model 66, which is the larger of the two. Wow. I imagine he would be okay if you wanted the smaller version, the Model 65. I don't know yet what you're going to have to write on your entry. That will be announced in tomorrow's post. So you can start the letter. Just don't mail it yet until you know what to write on the envelope or wherever you want to write it. So we have that to look forward to. And I happen to have one of those pens. And I think it's a fantastic pen. In fact, I ordered a second one because I wanted 2 different nib widths and 2 different inks.
Tell me again, what model is it?
The Model 66, and
is that the little? Is that the longer desk pen? I'm confusing my Franklin Christoph models right now.
That is the longer of the 2 desk pens.
It's the longer desk pen
with the little short cap, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great design. I love that. That's a really neat pen.
Neat pen, great nibs. Any nib you want, any of the steel nibs, and I think it's fine, medium, broad, and medium. And stub. And or cursive italic. You have to look at the website.
I think he has a wide selection. I also think he has extra fines too. I could be wrong.
And they're all tuned by Mike Masuyama.
Oh wow! So
you're basically getting a Franklin Christoph pen with a Michael Masuyama nib. So this should be fun too. It's fun to do this. I really enjoy this.
I'm sure the people that win it really enjoy it too.
I'm sure they do. I have an Edison pen. Let's see, so far we've done a Micarta, we've done an Edison, and we're about to do a Franklin Christoph. I have personal experience with each of those pens. I have several in my collection right here with me. They're worthy of being won, let me tell you. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, I'm all good.
How about you, Mr. Gray? Do you suppose you've got electricity back at your place? You're allowed to go home?
I hope so. You know what? We could probably use some air conditioning. It's been relatively hot here. So once we wrap up here, I'll head home and see what the situation is at the old homestead.
At the old homestead, then I'll take this opportunity to remind everyone how they can contact us. You can reach us via email, podcast@fpgeeks.com. You can call us, 415-685-GEEK. That's 415-685-4335. We are on Twitter, twitter.com/FPGeeks, Facebook.com/FPGeeks. We have a website, FPGeeks.com. We even have a forum, FPGeeks.com/forum. Our mailing address is Fountain Pen Geeks, P.O. Box 499, Highland, California, 92346. Generally, we have little things we say at the end of the show, gentlemen. They're not written down this week. I can't remember what they were.
I never paid attention to what you wrote down anyways.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I say don't waste ink, or don't waste paper, or don't, what was that? We can't use it now because I completely blew it. I'm just going to say good night. How's that?
See ya.
See you, Dan.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot for attending. Thanks for all the letters, the giveaways, and thank you guys for having me on once again. I really appreciate it. All right.
Thank you for being here. It would have been difficult to give away your pens had you not been here. So
I'm glad
that we appreciate the fact that you were here. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here.
See you.
Thanks, you guys.
You've been listening to Eric and Dan on Fountain Pen Radio, a weekly podcast produced by FPGeeks.com. Thanks for listening. But the fun is far from over, as the site is constantly buzzing with new content. So until next week, thanks for coming out. Good night.